Alright, so I would like to welcome everyone here to an exciting episode of Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. And for those of you who know what this visual novel is, that's great. For those of you who do not, you're about to find out. My name is Maddie. I am a trans girl from California, and I will be doing the narrations. This is my first time ever doing a Let's Play, so I don't know how well it's gonna go. This is actually my third take trying to do this episode because of the fact that I'm not good with broadcasting things and I don't really know the lingo, so I'm learning things as I go along. In any case, I want to make this fun for all of us, so as I go along, if you have suggestions for things that I should do, should not do, I'd love to hear your feedback. The only thing I ask is don't spoil it for others. If you know what's going to happen, do not comment saying what's going to happen later in the visual novel. That's just mean and rude and not fun, and it ruins it for everyone. That said, here we go. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. This is a popular retreat for couples in the summer. The deciduous trees provide a beautiful green canopy, far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. But now in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Just how long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 p.m. Ah yes, the note, slipped between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more of a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this way shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowball gradually thickens. The snowflakes, silently falling from the white painted sky, are the only sign of time passing in the stagnant world. Their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time is slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone's approaching me from behind. Hisao? You came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never as more than an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. Iwanako? I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it. I spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, and that's the result. Pathetic. Yes. I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a muscle, even if I tried. My heart is pounding now, as if it were trying to burst out from my chest and claim the girl for itself. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. Iwanako flinches ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself, as if supported by new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine, and she lazily twirls her long, dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt it could even force a word if I tried. You see, I wanted to know if you'd go out with me. I stand there motionless, save for my pounding heart. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point. Hisao? I reach up to try to massage my throat, but this only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Hisao! My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Hisao! The beating in my chest suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, Iwanako running towards me, all of these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of Iwanako screaming for help and the incessant clatter of the branches above. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. In that whole time, I can probably count the number of times that I've left this hospital room unsupervised. On one hand. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts. So I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation. Arrhythmia. A strange word. A foreign, alien one. One that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle that I was able to go on for so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle, though? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. It didn't really do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I had already had a full day by then to digest everything, but to them it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Of course, there is no cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week. My room was a ward, full of flowers, balloons, and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realized that the only reason I had gotten so many cards and flowers was because sending their sympathy was a class project. Maybe some were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors, and by the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Iwanako was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on that snowy day, ever again. The hospital? Not really a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry, and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but that makes me feel uncomfortable all the same. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries had worked. So I idly observed the scar that the surgeries had left on my chest slowly change in appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of an omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows there's at least some hope. At some point I stopped watching TV. No clue why, just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library in the hospital, although it was more like a storeroom for books than anything else. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time, and after consuming one, I'd go back for more. I found I liked reading, and I think that even I became a little bit addicted, and started to feel naked without a book in my hands. But I loved the stories. That's what my life was like. The days increasingly harder to distinguish from one another, differing only by the book I would read and the weather outside my window. Time had blurred into some kind of gooey mass I was trapped inside of, instead of moving within. A week could go by without me even noticing it, and sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't even know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness. The barrier of nonchalance I had set up for myself would break. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay there for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I would cry. But that happened only rarely. And I couldn't cry. Today the doctor comes in with a small smile on his lips. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I last saw them. Both of them are sort of dressed up for this. Is it some sort of special occasion? I mean, it's not a party. There's this ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. And then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine, and looks me in the eyes for a moment. "Hello, Hisao. How are you today?" I don't answer him, but I smile a little back at him. "I believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now, and with some precautions you should be fine. We have all your medications sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription." The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad, whose expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and take a look for myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contraindications, dosages listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it, and attempting to only makes me feel sicker. All of this, for the rest of my life, every day? I'm afraid that is the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that list fade over the years. Years? What kind of confidence booster is that? I'd have felt better if he hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe that it would be best if you don't return to your old school. What? Please, calm down, Hisao. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he says it tells me he knew full well I wouldn't like it. Am I going to be homeschooled? Whatever my concern shows, it's ignored. We understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least, not until we are sure that your medication is suitable. So I have spoken to your parents about a transfer. It is a school called Iwanako Academy that specializes in the dealing of disabled students. Disabled? What? Am I... It has a 24-hour nursing staff, and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on the campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. It's designed to give students a degree of independence while keeping help nearby. Independence? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff and you wouldn't make a hospital nearby as a selling point. Of course, this is only if you want to go. But your mother and I aren't really able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'll like it. It looks like I don't really have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. This isn't an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamned opportunity. Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school, and while it's not the same one, a special school, that's an insult. That's what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All of the students there are pretty active in their own sort of way. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help, in one way or another. Your father's right, and many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues in another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability? That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me, but what can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny. I'd always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now, something about how I can go back to school anyway. But no. I don't say anything. The fact that I know now it's futile. I look around the room feeling very tired of all this. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There really isn't a choice, and I know this, but the thought of going to a disabled school, what are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That's all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it's a special school, it's something. A fresh start and my life isn't over. It'd be a mistake just to resign myself to thinking that. At the very least, I'll try and see what my new life will be like. Act 1. Life Expectancy. And with that, we will save because we are about 17 and a quarter minutes. Well, actually, it's 17 and 3/4 minutes into the video. Basically, we'll do this in parts. No part will be more than 20 minutes long, just to keep file sizes down, things like that. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have suggestions, criticisms, feel free to comment down below. Try to be gentle. And if you want to talk to me on Twitter, I'll have my Twitter in the video description. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.